too, 2021, right? I mean, who could forget that crazy heat wave in the Pacific Northwest? Talk about record-breaking temperatures.
Yeah, it was definitely one for the books. And it's got me thinking about this new research because it suggests that we might be getting close to being able to predict events like that heat wave.
Wait, hold on. You're saying we could predict something as intense as that heat wave, and not just a couple of days out?
Yeah, that's the thing. This research is looking at predictions up to 10 days out.
10 days? Seriously, our current forecasts can barely tell me if I need an umbrella tomorrow. What's the secret sauce? Are we talking some kind of weather magic?
Well, not magic exactly, but it is a pretty fascinating approach. It involves using a really sophisticated AI system, and they used it to specifically study that 2021 heat wave.
Okay, so we're talking about AI and weather now. I'm intrigued, but you're going to have to break this down for me. How does AI even play into predicting something as chaotic as the weather?
All right, so picture this. Imagine you're trying to bake a cake, right? And you know exactly what the final product, the flavor, the texture, everything should be.
Okay, I like where this is going. I'm a big fan of hake analogies.
Well, good, because it fits perfectly. So you're trying to recreate this cake. You're experimenting with different ingredients, tweaking the amounts until you get it just right. You essentially have the answer, that delicious cake, and you're working backwards to figure out the recipe.
I think I see where you're going with this. So they basically fed the AI the answer, the 2021 heat wave data, and then...
Exactly. They tweak the starting conditions.
Hmm.
Kind of like adjusting the ingredients in our cake analogy. They wanted to see if the AI, by tweaking these conditions, could accurately predict the heat wave that they knew had already happened.
So it's almost like they use the AI in reverse, like giving someone a finished puzzle and asking them to figure out where all the pieces go.
That's a great way to put it. And get this, by making these small adjustments to the initial conditions, they were able to get incredibly accurate predictions, like scarily accurate. They were able to pinpoint the intensity of the heat wave and the location, and all of this 10 days out.
Wow, okay. That's seriously impressive stuff. But now I'm wondering, how do we know this wasn't just some fluke? Like, what if it only worked because of the specific AI system they used?
That's a really good question, and the researchers definitely thought about that too. They actually tested the same approach using a completely different AI system, one with its own quirks, strengths, and weaknesses.
So kind of like getting a second opinion.
Exactly. It's all about making sure it's not just one system that's giving these amazing results.
So what happened? Did this other AI system also hit the nail on the head?
Well, it might not have been as dramatic as the first one, but yes, this other AI, using the tweaked starting conditions, still showed significant improvement when it came to predicting the heat wave. And that suggests that it's not about the specific AI system itself. It's more about pinpointing those critical starting points, those key pieces of information that help unlock longer-range accuracy. Remember that cake analogy? It's about getting those core ingredients right. Once you have them, different bakers can follow the recipe.
So it's not just about having the fanciest AI system, but about feeding it the right information from the get-go. Now, this is where things get really interesting for me, because you said that the adjustments the researchers made were actually quite small, right?
Yeah, and that's the exciting part. We're not talking about massive, unrealistic changes. These were actually on a scale that current weather observations can already detect.
Now, that's a game changer.
It really is.
So we might be closer to actually using this in real time than we thought.
That's what's so promising, right?
I mean, think about it. Knowing 10 days out that a heat wave like that one is coming, it's huge.
Absolutely. It could be invaluable for so many things.
Getting resources in place, warning people.
Making sure vulnerable people can get to cooling centers.
Exactly. And speaking of pushing the limits, the researchers, they didn't stop at 10 days, did they?
You're ahead of me. Yeah, they wanted to see how far they could actually push this thing.
So what? They just said, okay, let's try 25 days, almost a whole month out.
Pretty much. They tested the same optimization technique at these different time ranges.
Okay, but a month out, that's got to be pushing it, right? Did they find that same level of accuracy?
Well, it wasn't quite as dramatic as those 10-day results. But you know what? They still found significant improvement.
Compared to the old way of doing things.
Exactly, over those traditional forecasting methods.
Even at a month out.
Even at those extended ranges, yeah.
So, I mean, even if you're getting a few weeks' notice and it's more reliable, that's huge.
Think of the possibilities.
Cities could get ready for heat waves. Farmers could adjust irrigation.
Absolutely.
I mean, even just families like mine, we could know when to book a vacation so we're not, melting on the beach.
It could touch so many different areas.
It really could. This all sounds amazing. Is there a catch? Are we on the verge of predicting everything a month out?
Well, Hold your horses. It's important to remember, this research, it was focused on that 2021 heat wave specifically.
Right, right.
And while those results are super promising, we need more research.
Huh.
We need to see if it'll work for other kinds of extreme weather, and in different regions too.
So not a one-size-fits-all solution just yet?
Not quite. It's a huge step, but it's kind of like, how do I put this? Imagine we've been like peering through a keyhole,
Okay, I like that visual.
and now we've swung open this door. But there's a whole new wing to explore.
We've just stepped into the entryway.
Exactly. And there are so many rooms. How well does this technique work with hurricanes?
Oh, yeah.
What about blizzards? There are tons of exciting avenues to explore.
It really makes you wonder what else is out there. What other kind of breakthroughs might be just around the corner.
What other mysteries of the weather are we going to unravel?
That's the exciting part, right?
That's the beauty of science. Every discovery leads to more questions, more avenues to explore.
So we're not just talking about better weather apps here. This could completely change how we deal with climate change, how we prepare for it.
For sure.
I mean, imagine knowing weeks ahead of time that a hurricane is likely to hit.
The lives that could be saved, the damage that could be prevented.
It really does make you think, like we've been playing checkers with weather forecasting and suddenly, bam, we've discovered 3D chess.
Right. And we don't even know how many more dimensions are out there.
My head is spinning with the possibilities. But okay, let's bring it back down to earth for a second. For our listeners, what's the big takeaway here? What should they be thinking about after they finish this episode, knowing what we know now?
I think the biggest thing to remember is that the future of weather forecasting might be a lot closer than we think. This research, it shows that we can do so much more.
By combining these amazing AI systems with, like you said, a deeper understanding of what's actually happening in our atmosphere.
Exactly. We can push those boundaries further than we ever thought possible.
It's like we're finally figuring out how to read those subtle signs, the whispers of the wind, instead of just waiting until, the storm hits.
Yes, and that's crucial, especially now with climate change making things more and more unpredictable.
Couldn't agree more. The more we understand about everything, the better.
The better equipped we'll be to deal with whatever comes our way, right? From natural disasters to just managing our resources better.
This has been a real eye-opener. It's like a good reminder that there's always something new to discover.
Absolutely. That quest to understand our world, it never really ends.
And hopefully, with these advances in how we predict the weather, we can move away from that place of fear, of just reacting, to a place where we're more prepared.
Where we're more resilient.
Yes, exactly. Well said. A huge thank you to our expert for explaining all of this to us, for breaking it down.
Happy to be here.
And to everyone listening, stay curious, and we'll catch you on the next episode for another deep dive into all the amazing things happening in the world of science and technology.